Hey guys, it's John Thomas and welcome back to My Tinjin Life. In today's video, as you could already tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about 10 apps that are must-have for people who are living in China. And these are also some apps that you can use while you are visiting China as well. So I think this video will be able to share a couple of those things. In some of these apps, you do need to have a Chinese bank card. So in order to do that, you need a residence visa and work permit in order to get a bank card for China. So there are functionality in a lot of these apps that you can use even if you don't have a bank account, but I would encourage you to do a little bit of research as well as you download these apps to make sure that you have the bank card that I guess you would need in order to do that. So the first app I want to talk about is WeChat. WeChat is an absolutely fantastic communication app. When I first moved to China, everybody was asking me, oh, can I get your WeChat? Can I get your WeChat? Let me scan you. And what happens is they give you, you can pull up your QR code and you can pretty much scan anybody and anybody can scan you, and it's a really quick way to add somebody as a friend, which is awesome. The other thing about WeChat is that it has moments, so it's very interesting to see kind of what all your friends are doing. You can post photos, you can post music, you can post news stories, all of that stuff. One of my favorite features of WeChat is the fact that if you're friends with somebody and they post something, you can like it and you see their name. And anybody who you're friends with, who they are also friends with, you can also see that they liked the photo. But anybody who you are not friends with, that other person is friends with, you don't see any of their comments or photos. So it really keeps it a real tight-knit group of people when you're actually going through the moments. And so I really like that feature of WeChat. The other great feature of WeChat obviously is WeChat Pay. You can use WeChat to pay for anything in China. From the smallest street vendor all the way to the biggest department store, you can use WeChat to pretty much pay for anything. The other feature of WeChat that I really like is the relative card. It's a newer feature to WeChat, but when people come and visit, I load up the money on a WeChat card for them, and so they can actually practice using mobile payments while they're here. It's such a part of life here in China that when people come to visit here, I want them to experience that. So number one app that I would recommend is WeChat. The second app that I would recommend is Alipay. I absolutely love Alipay. The Chinese word is Zhifubao. It is a phenomenal app. It's really easy. You get lots of discount codes. You can also, there is a social media aspect to it, but I don't use it as much. But I really feel like Zhifubao is a great app or Alipay is a great app to have if you're living here in China. The third app that I know that everybody here in China uses is Didi. Didi is a taxi hailing service. It's very similar to Uber in other countries, but Didi is very fast, it's very cheap. You can get a premier car, you can get an express car, you can get a huge van depending on how many people you have, and it is a great experience. And I think what I enjoy most about it is that it is inexpensive. It's a great app to have. So I would highly recommend Didi to be able to get around. Again, this is one that you would need to have a bank card for because it automatically deducts out of your Alipay or WeChat Pay. So I would absolutely, if you're going to be living here, you have to have Didi. There's even now, when I first moved here 4 years ago, Didi was only in Chinese, and now it is in English. So there's even a translating function inside Didi that gives you the ability to translate with the driver. So you can say, hey, my location's accurate, and they're like, okay, I'm coming to pick you up, and you can say thank you, and it's all translating inside the app for you, which makes it super simple. The next app I want to talk about is Baidu Translate. Baidu Translate is a phenomenal app. Baidu Translate gives you the ability to translate things that you are seeing and hearing from English into Mandarin. There's also a photo feature, which I'll try to insert in this video, that shows, that gives you the ability to take a picture of something and it will translate it for you. The reason I picked Baidu Translate is because it is available in English and it is available here in China. There are other apps like Google Translate and stuff that you would have to have a VPN in order to use here. So Baidu Translate does for me exactly pretty much the same thing in order to get around. So I do use Baidu Translate. The other app that I think is absolutely phenomenal is Pleco. Pleco is an app that is used to, I use it for the handwriting, option in there. When you can handwrite, when you're seeing a character here in China, you can copy it and then select it, and then you can translate what you've drawn. And I find it very easy to use. The next app I would tell you about is Say Hi. So although Baidu Translate and Pleco give you the ability to kind of type in your phone and translate, Say Hi gives you the ability to talk into the phone and then translate it. So, I don't necessarily use Say Hi a lot when I'm in China, but I did use it quite extensively recently when I did have to go to the hospital. I was trying to communicate with the doctor, and the doctor's English was extremely limited, and so we used Say Hi as a way to communicate. Although when you're talking about your health, you don't necessarily want to be communicating through a translator. I felt like Say Hi gave me the ability to clearly understand what the doctor was saying, and although medical terminology can be quite difficult to translate, Say Hi did a fantastic job at that. And so I would absolutely recommend Say Hi, especially in circumstances where you may absolutely need a translator to be able to communicate. So when I was in the hospital, Say Hi was it, and I was really happy with that. The next app that I would recommend would be Erlima. Erlima is a food delivery service. There's places in the US that are starting to pop up, like DoorDash, Uber Eats, but Erlima by far exceeds all of my expectations around food delivery service. I can go on there and I can order a Big Mac. If I want to order a Big Mac, I can order Xibei, which is one of my favorite restaurants here in China. I can order dumplings or soup. Anything is at my fingertips, and usually food is delivered to my apartment within 30 minutes. Sometimes I can get McDonald's within 20 minutes. It's insane. So I would highly recommend you getting this app. It is all in Mandarin, and you do need to make sure that somebody helps you enter in your address. But once it's all in there, it's very, very simple to use, and you can get all of the food that you want pretty much any time of day and extremely fast. So the next app I would tell you about is food related as well, and that's Dianping. Dianping is kind of like the Yelp of China, where you can see how people are rating different restaurants or shops based on, I believe it's a 5-star system. And there's also a lot of discount codes in there for restaurants, and it's just a really effective app to be able to see what kind of restaurants are around you as well. So I would highly recommend Dianping. The second to last app I would recommend is Trip.com. This used to be called Ctrip, but Trip.com is an English app that allows you to book a lot of your travel while here in China. I use it constantly. With this app, you can use any type of bank card, whether it's a Visa, MasterCard, or your Chinese bank card. What I use it for the most is booking train tickets. There are train ticket apps that you can use that don't charge you a fee. I find that most of those are in Chinese, and the 20 RMB fee that it costs to use Trip.com I feel like is a total doable fee. And it is just really simple. You can book all your trains, and then they give you a ticket number to go to the window and pick up your ticket. Because at the train stations here in China, as a foreigner, you do always have to pick up your tickets. There are some new services that are popping up where you can get a card that actually links to your bank account, I believe. But Trip.com is where it's at. It's where I book all my trips for Thailand or Cambodia, to Korea. Like, Trip.com to me is an incredible travel app, so I would highly recommend that one as well. And the last app that I would recommend is ExpressVPN. While you're here in China, if you are living here or even traveling here, there is the Great Firewall, and it makes it very challenging to be able to access all of those favorite apps from home that you enjoy, whether that's Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. Any of those apps you would need a VPN for. So if you're traveling here or coming to travel here, I would highly recommend you download ExpressVPN. It is a fee to use this, but it is, I found, to be the absolute most stable app ever while in China. And even when it gets very challenging with VPN, they constantly are communicating how they're working on making the connections even stronger and better. So VPN, you know, make sure you have that downloaded before you move here, or once you get here, make sure that you do have an app store ID that's linked to your country where there's an app store, so that you can download that app, because they're not available in any of the Chinese app stores. So those are my top 10. Here they are. Absolutely my favorite. So WeChat, Alipay, Didi, Baidu Translate, Pleco, Say Hi, Erlama, Dianping, Trip.com, and ExpressVPN. If you have these 10 apps, you will have the best time here in China, because you'll be able to eat, you'll be able to communicate, you'll be able to get around, and you'll be able to pay for things. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a little bit of a longer one, but I do think that having these 10 apps available to you will be a huge, huge win. So thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. How do I want to word this? Speaking of food, I just totally burped.